Thank you for joining us on this edition of the show. Now, the beautiful thing about technology and startup is the fact that it can be leveraged to solve problems. Now, today on the show, I chat with a startup founder who is tackling a problem that is in the education segment. So if you've ever graduated from a Nigerian university, then you would appreciate this solution. But watch out for that on the interview segment. But for now, we'll kick off the show with some news and updates. This is Tech Trends, and I'm Chukwuemeka Agbata.
Robotics are beginning to cross that line from absolutely primitive motion to motion that resembles animal or human behavior.
Every year, the world produces as much as 50 million tons of electronic and electrical waste, weighing more than all of the commercial airlines ever made. And according to the United Nations Environment Programme, only 20% of this is formally recycled. Electronic waste is one of the fastest growing types of waste in some parts of the world. And to help address this problem, Dozie Guelo, founder of Quadlup, is harnessing waste by building sustainable systems and solar lanterns.
We are looking at solving a problem that has to do with poor power distribution in rural and peri-urban areas, as well as problem that has to do with the rise of electronic waste and plastic waste. Because in recent times we see that old electronics has been causing so much menace in the environment. So we are looking at ways to harness this waste materials in terms of electronic and plastic to build our product.
Every month, tons of electronic and electrical equipment are dumped in Nigeria with really no solution for the electronic waste, which is why Dozie is leveraging waste to value. He started out in 2016, and after searching for ways to use electronic hardware to solve this environmental problem, he came up with his first solution called Bliss, and then evolved it to Idunu.
We came up with a solution in 2017 called Bliss. Bliss is a portable solar lantern that provides you with just lightning, right? Because we realize that a lot of people still use dirty sources to light up their homes, kerosene lanterns and this other local one called Atupa. So we understand that, okay, this can be done because we have so much abundance of light. So we decided to just put some few circuits, LED batteries and solar system, solar panel to enable to charge. So we started out with that, but in 2020 we started developing on that particular product to see how we could come up with something more appealing to the market, because we understand from the use cases that we got, people prefer to have a bit more than just having lightning, right? So a lot of people depend on their phones for meetings, for entertainment and what have you. So we actually saw the fact that there's a need for us to actually embed a USB port to the product. So the newer version that we have now actually have a feature that allows the user to charge their phones.
Dozie collects electronic waste from companies, tests their durability, which he then uses to build the lamps.
The waste material that we leverage is called lithium-ion battery. It's called an 8650 lithium-ion battery. So what that does is that, because for you to have a solar lantern system, there are some major components, from batteries to LEDs to the entire body, then of course the switches and all that. So, but in price preferences, in terms of the materials that are most expensive than some, batteries is key, right? So these batteries are gotten from waste materials in terms of laptops, old laptop batteries. So we recycle them, we take them through some processes, we test them, test the internal resistance, make sure that these guys can still deliver for smaller power system. Because for a battery that doesn't really back up so much for your laptop, right, there's still some lifespan in there that we harness to build this product.
For a hardware startup trying to combat an environmental problem, there were highs and lows of its journey.
I'll tell you, from the enclosure down to building the circuits, down to getting raw materials, even down to building boxes, down to manual. Everything has been it's been a struggle, because I realized one of the things that sometimes working with local companies or local partners here is really challenging. So most people don't really keep to their terms before and after the business. So, but we try to push our way through all the challenges and had to come up with something great, because at some point there was no going back. So yeah.
E-waste not only pose a challenge to the environment, but also to human health, as they contain hazardous fractions that can be fatal. Recycling such parts into eco-friendly solutions like Idunu will help reduce the impact on the environment while also solving the problem of electricity.
Recently, there's been a lot of buzz about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, Bitcoin, and the like. But how often do we hear about NFTs? NFTs, also known as non-fungible tokens, are unique assets that can be represented by any digital asset on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, here's an example. In the case of a fungible asset, you can exchange 1,000 Naira for 2 500 Naira notes. Both have the same value. But when something is non-fungible, it means it has unique properties and can't be interchanged with something else, like a painting or a house with no tangible form. Efosa Hodaro, founder of Hashgreed, is making it easier to access NFTs, as he says he's on a mission to make blockchain technology useful for the everyday individual through his multi-purpose NFT auction platform, the first to be seen in Africa.
Hashgreed is a platform for artists, content creators, influencers to sell just a barcode of their artwork, of their goods, and of their personality. So we can have celebrities selling NFT of their contact. So it's a way for you to contact celebrities. When you have that barcode on the blockchain, you have that proof that you and this celebrity actually had a conversation, or you actually bought this specific artwork from this artist. For example, we have several people selling artworks on the road, right, on the express road, but we don't know if they are stolen, So when we participate in buying unverified artwork from the street, we are contributing to piracy, right? But if every artwork is going through the blockchain and is verified by the blockchain, there's strong authenticity and there's a proof, there's a record of transfer on the blockchain, then you can be sure that you are buying from the right owner. And also this artist, for the first time in history, you can actually earn royalties on artworks, So basically, we wanted to create this decentralized application that has all these little tools that helps people to actually see the benefit of blockchain.
With NFTs, one can create a digital certificate of ownership that can be bought and sold. It has been likened to buying an autographed print. Through the platform, one can find all tools vital for creating a proper NFT and store them in a decentralized file storage system.
It actually came on board in 2014 in the blockchain space, but in Nigeria today, we are leading in the communication and adoption of that new technology. So it's gradual. It's going to take a little bit of time, but as we begin to push the use cases for celebrity contact, for artists, and for institutions, companies can route their reward programs through the NFT. So that way their customers have a way to always renew and review the experience of using that product. But if you just have a reward through a gift card or through somewhere else, once the reward is done and over with, then that experience is over, right? We cannot compound on that experience for future engagement, right? So through the NFT, people are seeing the token on their wallet. They're like, okay, I use this for this reward, and then this NFT is not exhaustible.
Although NFTs have been around since 2014, but we are seeing an exponential rise in the past months, especially as they become a popular way to buy and sell digital artwork. Early in 2021, humanoid robot Sophia sold her digital artwork at an auction in the form of a non-fungible token for almost $700,000. NFTs have become the latest investment trend, creating a medium for artists to showcase and monetize their work. Wearing a virtual reality headset and black and yellow wired gloves, an Egyptian teenager is hoping to build his own version of the Metaverse, allowing people to one day shop, attend classes, or even conduct experiments online. Omar Wail, a 13-year-old developer and AI junkie, became fascinated by the world of virtual reality after watching Ready Player One, a 2018 science fiction movie in which much of humanity uses a virtual reality simulation. This inspired him to start working on his own version of the project. His idea started taking shape when the metaverse became more easily accessible, thanks to tech companies investing billions into the industry in the past few years. Using some of his mother's old clothes, Wail developed a sensory vest and glove. He also started working on a software which he hopes will allow pupils like himself to attend classes via the metaverse.
الفكرة جات لي من فيلم اسمه Ready Player One.
This headset is considered the head in the virtual reality world, with which I can see what is happening left and right, go up and down. It is the player's head inside the virtual reality world. This saves the environment and reduces traffic. Researchers who work on chemical experiments won't have to buy expensive chemical material. They can simply carry out the experiment in a virtual lab to simulate and see what happens in reality exactly.
The teen's passion for AI and technology started when he was only 5 years old. He built his first robot when he was 9. Wail won various local and international awards for his project, The Other World, for which he hopes to secure funding to enable him to develop it further. A robotic sixth finger that can be worn on the hand next to the pinky to move like a real finger has been created by researchers studying how brains react to new and independent body parts. Researchers at the University of Electrocommunications in Japan and French National Center for Scientific Research co-developed the artificial appendage, first embarking on the project in 2016. Electric signals from muscles are first measured by 4 sensors attached to the forearm. The signals are then transferred to a motor to control the robotic finger.
自分の体は
We know that we can move our own body with our brain, but when a new body part is formed, can the brain adapt? We thought this was an interesting question.
でだからどっちかというとこれを使って
We were interested in how the brain will accept it, the sixth finger, or change, rather than using it for convenience.
変わるのかという興味があって始めました。
Although their research is primarily focused on the brain's reaction to an extra body part, they say the sixth finger can enhance daily human activities such as typing on a computer keyboard or carrying more objects.
こういう技術が発展してきて
There may come an era where people can choose to have 5 fingers one day and 6 fingers the next day. Glasses are a good example. It has become an accessory, but it's got a function. Miyawaki said if this technology develops further, the concept of normality may no longer exist.
Coming up is my chat with Ayodeji Agbola, founder, Akowe. Stay with us.
Edtech, that is education technology, is nothing new, but the concept has fast become a buzzword as various schools and educators latch on to e-learning platforms to help students have a more comprehensive learning process. Virtual classrooms are now a go-to system for schools to help bridge the widening learning gaps. Despite technological challenges faced, Edtech startups have come up with different ideas and digital platforms to help bridge the education gap and change the narrative in the Edtech space.
Ayodeji, glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Fred. Nice to be here.
So let's even start by understanding how technology is affecting, whether positively or negatively, the educational sector.
Well, I'd say there are many ways technology is affecting the educational sector. Let's start from, media, right? A lot of education is happening on screens these days, on digital screens. Either it's on your TV, either it's on tablets, your computer. So there's a lot of education that is happening via digital platforms. And I'm not just talking about school education. Even children, they pick up a lot of knowledge by just watching different screens. But to be more particular about answering your question, the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic made it quite clear to a lot of stakeholders in the educational sector that education and the way we go about educating children, educating ourselves, has to now be digitally transformed, because the pandemic basically showed that if people are not able to move around, you still have to continue to educate them. And I think it gave birth to a lot of new opportunities around learning from home, learning remotely, and even schools are beginning to take remote education more seriously. So there is indeed a lot that education technology can actually do for the educational sector.
Yeah, awesome. But one of the things that crosses my mind all the time is the digital divide. How do we bridge this such that the children of the less privileged, so to speak, would also have access to the same opportunities that others have?
Well, I think it's going to take a lot of creativity from all the stakeholders. The most traditional way of thinking about getting the people who are not having access to digital devices is to say, hey, there's a device here, you can access it via internet. That is two different cost structures. First, they need to be able to afford a digital device. Then they need to be able to afford the internet that will power it. The creativity I'm talking about will have to come from, like I said, stakeholders, people who can manufacture devices and perhaps preload these devices with content, or with the cooperation of, for instance, the internet service providers, to be able to localize content in data centers in country that can make access to this data, for instance, or this educational content a lot less expensive.
Okay, but yeah, so tell us what problem you're trying to solve and how you're going about it.
Okay, so we are trying to solve the problem of fake or inauthentic academic records and the problems around, issuing these records in the first place, as well as, the very, very cumbersome processes that it takes African graduates from receiving their own academic records from their own institutions. I mean, it's a really big problem, and we're solving this by creating a digital wallet. Our platform is called Akowi, and it's a digital wallet for verified and verifiable academic records, using blockchain technology to secure these records. For context, Nigeria graduates about 600,000 students every year, and a lot of these students want to travel abroad to study. A lot of these students want to get jobs. But this is where their problem starts, because a lot of the industries that would employ them, a lot of the schools that would take them in for further studies want to verify the academic records they have. And this process is currently broken. It's currently very, very difficult to do. And this is one of the things that we are trying to solve.
How has the experience been so far in trying to solve this challenge? Considering the fact that you also have to sort of speak with the schools themselves.
Oh my goodness, it's a Herculean task. Not only because traditionally schools, universities in particular, are like the old guard, right? They are the custodians of the data that we're trying to verify and authenticate. And there's no way we can do this without them. But they are also quite skeptical, and very correctly to be skeptical, as this is a new technology. You're talking to these schools and you're saying, hey, we can secure this information with blockchain technology. Nobody will buy what they don't understand. So there's a lot of education that we are also doing to say, hey, we're not going the whole 9 yards. Let's first of all be able to just help you digitize your records in a standard way so that it can then be searchable, and therefore it creates even more value for you. You can unlock even more value. You can unlock even more revenue by just digitizing these records in a way that is then accessible by the key customers out there who want to access it. So yes, it's been really tough, but tough people don't quit.
The challenge you're trying to solve is one that is real to me because, I don't think I've gone back to school to get my certificate. So I kind of like understand the challenge. But tell me, where do you see a startup in 5 years?
Well, we like to say that Akọ̀wé is going to be the one true source of verified and verifiable academic records in sub-Saharan Africa. This is a problem that is very prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa. In the next 5 years, we see ourselves with operations in East Africa, in West Africa, and possibly in Southern Africa as well. We hope by then to have been able to complete digitization of over 1 million academic records, using even 1 million students across sub-Saharan Africa using our digital wallets to present their credentials to any employer or to any foreign entity who's interested in seeing their academic records.
Now, what would you say, and this is my final question, what would be your advice to anyone watching this show now and is wondering how they can get started with technology and build a company?
Okay, well, first is to always go after the customers. There is a trend that is very prevalent amongst people who want to start a technology business. And that trend is that because they often know how to build the technology, they end up building the technology without, first of all, validating whether there's a customer out there willing to pay for this. So my number one advice would be, first of all, go talk to customers. Do you have someone who has the problem that you're trying to solve? And is that person likely to be able to pay for whatever it is you want to build? Because spending 6 months building your technology without actually talking to customers is basically a recipe for a lot of time spent, a lot of energy spent without validation of whether this can be a business.
Ayodeji, thank you for being on the show today. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now. Cheers.
Bye.
I have been chatting with Ayodeji Agbola, the founder of Akọ̀wé, and as you've heard from me, the beautiful thing that technology does is that it tackles problems in very interesting areas. Of course, the only thing that we need to do for startups like this is to support them. It needs the government support, it needs the institutional support, and then hopefully it can go on not just to solve this challenge in Nigeria, but also to export it to other African countries and hopefully the rest of the world. This is where we do the curtains on this edition of the show. Follow us on social media at Tech Trends TV. You can watch these and previous editions of the show on Channels TV, YouTube, cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwuemeka Agbata.